So we'll just start off with reflecting. We won't get very far in this conversation. We have till 9:25. And of course, in Josh Fox style, he's the person who did this film. He always makes things a little bit long. But I think it's for a reason. I finally got that with this film. So reflections, and we'd like the audience to participate as well.
I just wanted to say I really liked how they brought it around to what's happening now. So often we see these sustainability movies and they're depressing, and that's not helpful because we need to keep fighting. So I love that they did that. That was my goal, was to talk about what's happening now and to see that at the end of the movie.
My big takeaway from the movie was just the strength of the indigenous people when they united. I was really amazed with that, and I was also just so shocked about the police brutality, and our governor sent state troopers to the aid of
So one of my reactions I can't even count the number of emotions, right, that you feel watching a movie like this. It's very inspiring, but it's also very troubling as well. So one of the things that struck me too was the militarization of the police, the response by the state, right? You can tell how much money is involved by the response to peaceful protesters. So I think that was really revealing about the state of our democracy these days. The other thing that struck me, right, is this is an ongoing struggle for sovereignty, right, by indigenous communities across the United States and elsewhere. And so they see this as a continuum, right, of struggles, right? Mustafa Ali last week talked about First Nations, right, indigenous communities being the original environmental justice communities. So this is an extension of what they've been trying to do and fighting for their sovereignty. But what's really amazing, right, is in the process is they're trying to save the rest of us despite ourselves, right? That's sort of what struck me. And they recognize it's not just about our land, but it's about 17 million people downstream.
I wasn't shocked by what the government did. I wasn't shocked by the militarization. As my daughter said to me earlier today, she said, "Oh, so the federal government's going to come in and take Indian land." Shocking. Like as though it's new, because it keeps happening and it continues to happen, and we have to fight. But the idea that it's going to be fair and we don't have to fight, they proved a long time ago.
Basically, who's protecting us, really? Like, a lot of people of color, and especially indigenous people, like, see that and experience that every day. So I think as far as that goes, like, it was an awakening for a lot of white people and of people that have other privileges in the world. But yeah, so I think that was one way it was an awakening. But I think it also, like we said again, I guess, was like a spiritual awakening, and kind of that going about making change in a way that is spiritual and in a way that is like tapping into that, whatever that is that's greater than being stronger than the other side, or than being, bigger than the other side.
It's important that direct action occurs in addition to pursuing change through traditional political and economic means. But with climate change, I don't believe that those sections are going to act fast enough, and especially since we've seen direct action be increasingly criminalized.
I think we're entering an era where marching and being in the streets and engaging in these kinds of actions are requisite. It's just what has to happen, and that gets people's attention, right? And there's sort of safety and momentum in numbers of people, which is just amazing, right? To see what has already happened in the last year with regard to that kind of protest. People that never thought they'd be a part of these kinds of movements are out in the streets in force.
So they showed a sign that said introductory meeting, I think 9 a.m. or something, and that was the first day I got there. Everybody was supposed to go to this kind of introductory thing that talked about lots of different things, just kind of here's what's going on here, and kind of updating on the political side of it, and then also they talked about strategies like that, and also one thing they really wanted to make sure was clear was that it was indigenous centered. So they were talking about how the people that are controlling things and are directing things are the indigenous people that live.